before my grandfather died, my mum was with him, and my mum said to Pop, we used to call him Pop, and my mum said, you know, Dad, I love you. And my grandfather replied to Mum, and he said, love. And he said, isn't that what it's all about? And they were his last words. My mum walked out, and he actually then passed away. And that, to me, that just sums up everything.
Hey Insider, today's special interview guest is featuring Jason Stephenson, and he is the CEO of Relax Me Online Australia and has been involved in the meditation relaxation music field for the past 15 years. In fact, his YouTube channel has more than 2.3 million subscribers with over 500 million views worldwide. And so if you are somebody who's wanting to discover the secrets to be able to release and let go of fear, anxiety, inner worries, and self-sabotage, then this episode is made specifically for you, as Jason will be revealing some of his top habits for being more mindful and at peace every single day. So be sure to pay close attention, as you're going to absolutely love it. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy this special episode featuring Jason Stephenson. For people who aren't too familiar with your work in terms of meditation and so forth, how did you get to where you are today? What would you say were some of the major life chapters that unfolded in the way it did that guided you to where you are?
Wow. Let me tell you, I think the first thing is, if I go right back to when I was about 9 years of age and I was around Australia with my family, we took 6 months off school and went around Australia. And I can remember I would often go off on my own. I had 2 brothers with me, but I loved my own company and just being on my own and being still and finding moments of stillness. And I can remember this one place in Western Australia called, I believe it's Western Australia, called Geeky Gorge. And I went there and sat on this bank of this gorge area and sat there for what might have been, it might have been half an hour. It could have been 2 or 3 hours. I don't remember. It's one of those moments when time stood still. And I remember at that young age, just feeling like I had everything that I could ever have in that moment, like stillness and being so content of just being there on the earth, sitting. And that has stayed with me forever. And then I remember, at 16 years of age, my mum asked me to go to a meditation class. And I thought it was woo-woo. I didn't know much about meditation back then. And I just thought, oh, this will be interesting. I sort of expected to almost levitate off the ground. Of course, that didn't happen. But I do remember walking away from that class with a sense of calm. And I just thought, wow, that was great. I enjoyed that. Sort of let it go. Life carried on. I had a strong interest in acting and singing for most of my life. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an actor and singer. And it's, reflecting back now, it's kind of ironic because there was a lot of speech training in acting. And, and I spent, my parents must have spent so much money, on the training, the acting and all those lessons, and not knowing where that the diction training, the speech training was going to one day go to now. And so here I am, doing these spoken guided meditations and reaching millions of people through my voice. So it's kind of ironic that happened. But prior to that, though, I went off the rails in life, as many people do during our younger years, and turned to drugs and alcohol and found ways of coping with stress that wasn't the best way. But it wasn't really until I went into I was invited to a Buddhist retreat, a 10-day strict monastic retreat in a place called Nantian Temple in Wollongong, New South Wales. And I went there, and that was life-changing. And that was the pivotal point that completely turned my life around. When I realized the power of stillness and of meditation and that how it helped me to be more at peace with myself, at peace with the moments, that wherever I was, that I could deal with things better. I worked with people with disability for quite some time, at around this time, actually. And I remember getting swept up in the noise and the chaos sometimes. It was just like, whoa, it was all too much. After this retreat, I remember going back to that job and I had a handle on it. And I remember just, I could hear all the noise. I saw what was going on, but my mind was in order. And so it really changed the way I saw things. And then in regards to, starting the YouTube channel, what I wanted to do first was I recorded a CD for children called I Believe in Me. It was a guided meditation and affirmations in word and song. So I got to sing these affirmations as well for kids, and sold it on eBay, but put up a little bit of it on YouTube as well. And then I remember someone saying to me, do you do meditations for adults? And I said, oh, no, I don't, but I could. And so that's when I began, and I began to put them up on YouTube, and things began to just grow from there.
Wow. And that was around 10 years ago, am I saying? Right in
Yeah,
saying?
that was about, I started the thing, I think it was about in 2009, 2010.
Wow.
And by about 2012 is when I really started to put more content in, and I really realized that this has potential to reach many, but also to support myself in something that I love to do. And that's what I was so excited about, the potential, because I've always wanted to work on my own, always wanted to work on my own, always wanted to do my own thing. In fact, can I tell you that every job I had, every full-time job, I was always begging, could I go part-time? All the time, no matter what job I got, everything. I remember working at Virgin Airlines cabin crew. I had a full-time job. No, I said, can I please put me on the list to go part-time? Because I could do the things that I wanted to do, the things that I loved, whether it be auditioning for TV shows or acting or singing or creating, writing. And so I was meant to be here. I was meant to be working on my own, doing what I love.
Yeah, it's amazing how it just unfolded in the way it did. And as you described, you had acting lessons, and the lessons you were learning there eventually made sense in the end, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I spent some time in university. I did 2 years of creative arts, but I've got to tell you, university, I struggled with that from the first year. In fact, after the first year, I wanted to quit. They ended up talking me into the second year. I knew by the end of the second year, I really wanted to quit. It was just like, I felt locked in, and I didn't agree with the marking system of creativity. It really went against, I'd see it unfold before me, when they marked students, and a lot of them were a lot younger than I was. You see, many of them, I went in at 29 years of age. I started university. A lot of them were 18, 19. And I saw how they were marking the students. And I'm just like, they're like literally tearing people down. And I know there might be a method to their madness, but it just felt wrong. And I just thought, no, I need to be set free. So I finished uni after the second year and just went on to do other things, part-time work and part-time acting. And yeah.
Right. So when you visited that retreat for the first time, that changed your life. Was it like a silent retreat for 10 days or? Okay.
Yeah, it was actually strict monastic conditions. It was silence for 10 days. It was 2 meals a day, wearing the robes and also the hair shaved off. And they made a point to me that, they suggested that I do a 2-day retreat first because I hadn't done much meditation. And I just went, oh, no. If I'm going to do it, I'm doing it all the way. I'm going all the way. Well, I will tell you, it was very difficult for me. And in the first few days, it brought up a lot of anger. This was just a reflection of all that was going on inside of me at the time. I just remember being so frustrated by their rules and conditions and the things that they got us to do. And I'm like, what is this all about? This is crazy. I thought this was supposed to be peaceful, and I was like seething underneath.
Wow.
But it wasn't until about the fourth day that I finally began to capture myself for the first time in probably years, being still again, like I was back when I was a child. That when I was 9 years old, way back then, I caught myself being still again in the moment. I was actually cleaning some railings, which I didn't want to, and I thought it was ridiculous, the whole thing. I thought, what are they getting at? What's the point of all of this? I was very ignorant to all that was going on. But when I finally caught myself in that moment, it was like this awakening. It was so beautiful. And from that day onwards, it happened again and again. And I caught myself seeing the sunrise, come up at 5 or 6 a.m. It was freezing cold. I remember when walking in the dark, and we'd stand there. But I caught myself in the moment more and more and more. And I was like, wow, this is what it's about. Just being present here. Present. It was so beautiful. Such a beautiful, journey.
So did you almost reach that state in meditation, or was it more being mindful in the moment that made you reach that sense of awakening?
Yeah, it was being mindful in the moment. And it was I would dare say it wasn't through the actual art of meditation. It was where, the Buddhists teach that everything can become a meditation. And so what I found was, in particular this time when I was cleaning the railing with a toothbrush, and they had miles and miles of railings, and this is what I was frustrated about, because I'm like, they just give me a toothbrush. I said, are you serious? And she just said, just begin, Jason, just begin. And so, of course, I'm scrubbing away. It's like, this is ridiculous. But then my mind began to settle. And then I found myself actually being there, not concerned if I'm going to finish it, or not thinking about what's happened in the past or anything, just scrubbing away. So much so in the present that I remember those little tiny crevices in the railings. And I remember seeing a little money spider and thinking, okay, I'm going to get this little fella out and scrub it, then put him back in there after I've done it. And so it was just these simple things, and that that was a part of the meditation process, that mindfulness.
Yeah, I mean, just you even mentioning about 10 days silence. I'm not sure about the viewers watching this right now, but for me, it scares me. It definitely does scare me. I'm quite an active person, and it's something I've heard about before, but every time I've heard about it, it scares me in the right way, because I think some people are quite scared of just stopping in general and just allowing things to really catch up and be. So when you ended up, I suppose, completing that retreat and you returned to the day-to-day norm, how did you keep that sense of mindfulness, that sense of peace within you? Because one of the things I've heard from students before is they have this temporary sense of awakening or temporary sense of peace. But when they're back in their real life, everything just comes back to them, the same old patterns and so forth. So what did you do to keep that going for you?
Absolutely. And I won't say that it's been perfect all the way along. I've had my times of lapses, and in particular lately with the COVID and the lockdown, that brings up lots of things and feelings and stuff. But for the most part, what I found is I developed a regular routine of meditating in the morning. I remember the place where I was at, this particular place too. I sat out under the stairwell. And I meditated to music back then, not guided meditations, music, ambient music and relaxation music. And so that was always the way to start my day. Right now, I do meditation at nighttime. That's my preferred time, where I dedicate my time just prior to sleep. But yeah, it takes discipline. And I think the really important thing there is if you fall off and if you stop, is not to beat yourself up and then throw in the towel and give up. And it's just like, okay, I've stopped. I haven't done it today. Even if that day turns into a week, I haven't done it for the week, admit it, and then just get back on and start again and again and again and again and again. And I think that that's the really important thing, because some people say, oh, okay, I've stopped now, and oh, I'll never be able to do it, but it's just that, it's just recognizing, and I know if I haven't done it for a while, I begin to get anxious and those feelings, and I know that I've got to go back to it, because I know what's happening in my body and my mind. And so yeah, it's very important to me now. It's extremely important to me now.
Right. What would you say is more important, the habit of meditating, or being mindful in the moment, almost meditating as you're going about your day-to-day activities?
I think they're both important. However, I think we need those times of being still, and that time of meditation, because it's almost like that becomes the formal practice where we can begin to use that practice to spill over into moments in our lives. But we need that. I really believe that we need that discipline to sit still and to be silent and make the conscious effort to be still. And then we can call on that. We can call on that anytime, that stillness. I often say that I remember this time of lining up, being at a bank, and I was frustrated. I thought, oh, banks make so much money, and there's only 2 tellers on, and there's a line out the door. And then I caught myself, my mind starting to go around and I just said, hold on, Jay. You tell people, let's catch myself out. You tell people that you can use this time, to be mindful and to be present. So do it. And I did, and so we can use any time we like. We can decide how we want that to go for us. We can be frustrated and angry, or we can use that to our advantage and go, okay, I'll use this time for more peace now and to be present. So it's that choice. So mindfulness is, and you can find yourself being mindful at any time. It's a beautiful gift, because even talking to you, or even in any conversation that you're in with people, that's the beauty of mindfulness. If your mind starts to wander away while you're talking to people or listening to people, then be aware and just bring that back now, and bring this back and give this gift of mindfulness to the person that you're talking to. Really listen to people, because that's becoming rare. It's like in Australia, we sort of say, everyone says, how you going, mate? And they don't even want to listen to how you are. It's just like, how you going, mate? Yeah, good. Okay, yeah, good on you, mate. And that's sort of it, But, if you said, oh, terrible day, they'd go, oh, good. Okay, mate. You'd be like,
yeah.
But we have this opportunity to give more to each other.
Makes a lot of sense. So you're saying find that sense of grounding, and then almost remember that throughout the day in terms of how it made you feel, or reach that sense of state throughout the day.
Yeah, I think it's something that just begins to carry, you begin to carry it with you. And I'm not saying we're mindful all the time, because we're not. That's just not life, and that's not actually reality. We can't stay present, I don't believe, all the time. But I think the more we put that practice of meditation, of being still, the greater it becomes. It begins to just that spilling over into areas of our lives, and we can begin to catch ourselves more. Being present wherever that may be, whatever you might be doing. And and that happens. I think that happens just more and more awareness of how you're feeling, what's happened, how you're holding your body, if you're tense, and so you can just, if you feel it, then you just drop, let it go. And and if you have anxiety, if you're feeling anxiety, you become more aware of that, feeling the knots, feeling the tension, feeling the strain in the voice. And, you just be aware of that, and you can breathe through that.
So it's almost like just being more, yeah, I suppose more present, but noticing what's really going on in each of the moments.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody who may be thinking this right now? They find that some moments it's very easy to be present, but other moments when there's a lot of things going on, let's say they're at work and somebody's presented them a new project. How can they prevent themselves from being easily triggered from different things, stimuli from the outer world?
A good question. A very good question. I think one of the key areas is breath. And if you can just remember that alone, to breathe, because often especially in tense situations or uncertainty, one of the first things we do is, we can hold our breath and we're not even aware of it. It's just like, and nothing happens. That stops us from moving forward. We're stagnant. And one of the greatest things I think is just remember to breathe. I used to have that. Actually, I used to have that printed on a shirt, remember to breathe. This was really great because I used to wear it down the shop and they would read it out to me. The shopkeeper would read it out and say, "Oh, remember to breathe." And I'd go, "Oh, thank you." So it was a reminder for me always, when I wore that shirt, to remember to breathe, because so often we're holding our breath and we're not even aware of that. And I think just that process of breathing helps us to move through, especially difficult times.
Right. So focus on your breathing. Remember to breathe. Yeah, makes
Remember to
sense.
breathe.
I was looking at your channel earlier, and like I kind of started off this interview, just amazed by how many millions of people you have reached. And then I also noticed how many videos you've posted. It's just mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. You seem like a very at peace guy. You seem very calm. In a way, you're quite the opposite of, let's say, some of the motivational speakers we've had on this channel and so forth. But you've displayed insane amount of discipline and consistency and commitment towards this mission of yours. So I suppose I'm curious to know, how did you keep yourself motivated to keep going for the last 10 or so years you've been doing this? And were there times where you wanted to give up, or was it smooth sailing for you? And how did you keep pushing through?
Yeah, I don't think there was ever a time where I've wanted to give up. Um, sure, there's some times where, I think I don't want to do a video this week or something like that. But something inside pushes me and just says, get it done. You'll get it done. And also it's the people on okay, two things here. It's my audience. I feel a strong commitment to give them material and to help them as much as I can. And that is really important for me. Also, I now have a team of people that are helping me to make this so much more easier. Literally, so much now. I just record the voice, and literally now they do the voice editing, the videos. I still do a bit of work, but it's just the team of people that I work with that are. Everyone plays an enormous part. And I feel very, very blessed. And I never, ever take it for granted for what I have and for the beautiful people that I work with, because the channels would not be as they are now if it wasn't for the people that work for me, the team that work for me. So fantastic. Yeah. So I almost feel a commitment for these guys as well. You see,
Right.
we all need to keep working together, and we keep doing it. And I tell you, the letters that we receive, we have a weekly meeting where one of our staff members reads out just a few of the letters. And it's always such a beautiful reminder for what we're actually doing it for. So we're not working in isolation. We hear that we're making an impact on this person's life and that person's life. And that always, to me, it always brings it home. And I just go, that's what I'm doing it for.
Right.
That's what I'm doing it for.
Reminds you of your big why and just allows you to keep moving forwards.
Yes, yes. Yep, absolutely. We're not just working in isolation. This is changing lives,
Mm.
and we are changing lives as a
Right.
team. Yeah.
For sure. You know,
Hmm.
one of the things I've heard before from individuals who are into mindfulness and meditation and into spirituality as a whole is that they sometimes find themselves really in the moment, that they don't want to do something, as in they will make a commitment, but they want to procrastinate, or they don't want to do it. They rather be in the moment. So they're not a doer, they're a beer in a sense. So I suppose the question is, what advice would you give to that individual in terms of following through on commitments when they are feeling like they don't want to do it? How can they still be an achiever at the same time, be at peace and be spiritual and so forth?
I'm kind of laughing a little because I've found myself in that situation myself of just wanting to be. So what did I do, or how do I move forward with this? Um, that's a very good question. There's something. I think it's really important to have. I'm going to come back to gratitude,
Mm.
and to have this gratitude for to look around, and that I have a roof over my head. I have a bed, a beautiful, comfortable bed that I'm sleeping in, and it's just such simple things. Um, so having this gratitude always reminds me of what I work for, and what it's given me as well. And because I have so much, and I'm not just talking about material possessions or finances, it's I have lots of love, and I do have a roof over my head, and but I think it's a reminder for me to move forward and to keep going, and that I am blessed, and so blessed that it's almost like I'm sort of fumbling here with this answer, but it's almost like I'm how would I put this? It's my motivation to push through the difficult times
Mm.
is to have that gratitude, and it's a reminder, it's a calling to keep moving forward, even on the days where I want to be still. So if you just look around and just see some things that you have in this, again, in this moment, in this present situation, just see what you have, and just take a moment to be happy for that, and then give back, move forward and give back to the world, be of service to the world. And
Right.
sometimes that takes effort. It's not about just sitting.
Mm.
It does take effort. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, look around you, you're saying, and just be very thankful for what you've, achieved so far, and use
Yeah.
that as a sense of fuel to keep moving you forwards.
Yeah. I think there's a time for sitting on the meditation mat, and make that time, for the stillness. But then there's also a time when we need to push forward. And so it's not about just, gone are the days where you can just meditate for hours on end, and everything's just, you go up in a mountain. We can't all do that. We live in this world that's oftentimes moving fast. And so I just think it's contribution too. It's contribution. It's being of service, and recognize that. Um,
Right.
yeah.
Do you set goals? If so, how do you go about achievement in your life and business and so forth?
Yeah, I set goals. I often work with a life coach as well, to help me out of some, some tight spots or times when I'm a little bit lost. I set goals. Um, in fact, I can tell you right now that I'm setting a goal of actually letting go of being CEO of the company.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and so we're going through the stages of that, and it's almost like I'm going back to being the creative artist, that were my roots, right? That's where I started.
Yeah.
And so I just want to be a worker. I just want to do what I love and hand over all the admin side to people that manage it well, right? I really never intended, as much as I'm grateful for the company that's grown and it's beautiful and I work with amazing people, I had never really intended to be a boss of a large group of people. It was always still about just doing what I love. And so I'm going back to that. So let me tell you, when I first started YouTube, I would put up on a board. I would write on a board. So in 3 months' time, I'm going to have this many subscribers, this, and this, and earning this much money. And I'd write it up there. Sure enough, sometimes even quicker than that, it happened. Then I'd rub it out. Then I'd say, in 3 months' time, I'm going to be at this many subscribers, this much, and this much. And it just kept happening, So I think writing down goals is amazing. In fact, if you've got a wall that you can write on, I'm not in this place at the moment, but back in my old house, I wrote all my goals on an entire wall in lead pencil.
No way.
And just, yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. And because I knew that I could paint over it, and
Yeah.
it didn't matter. It was an older house. And so, and I went back to that, and there was goals from 9 years ago that were just, I could see that I just smashed them out of the ballpark. It was just so nice to look back on that and just see all that's unfolded since then. So yeah, I think writing them down, putting them up where you can see them, it triggers the subconscious mind to spring into action and consciously move forward. Yeah.
So you was mentioning about letting go of being a CEO, and you're growing your company has been growing with all of the viral videos and so forth. I can imagine with each of the chapters, there has been times where fear or maybe even sense of anxiety has arose from the new challenges or the risks. How do you personally manage fear and anxiety when it arises within you, when you got to take those risks? How do you normally break through that?
Yeah. I'm certainly getting better. I'm certainly much better than what I was, a number of years ago now. How do I manage them? I manage them through oftentimes talking them over with someone. That helps me no end, because if I keep it all bottled to myself, it doesn't work for me. I have to talk about it. And whether that be with an employee or management on the team, or whether that be with a friend outside of the company, to me, that is really important that I talk about it, and that seems to settle it, very quickly. It seems to dissolve so much, just voicing it, just letting it out. And also, of course, no question, like meditation helps too. I'm going to tell you, there's times where I've had to go to sleep, and yes, I have had anxiety. I have been anxious. I put on a meditation, and often I've used my meditations as testing grounds just to see if in fact they do work. Yeah. Most times I don't listen to my work. A lot of times I don't. But if I'm really struggling, and especially it's nighttime when I want to sleep, I'm putting on my meditation, and I've actually found that, some in particular work better than others. So meditation helps. Guided meditation, especially when you're anxious, because sometimes we just need, if I'm meditating in silence when I'm anxious, I find that a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, with the
But if
voice.
I've got the voice, reminding me to breathe and to slow things down and to visualize, and that helps me to really let go.
Right.
Yeah.
So meditation. Yeah. How do you, when it finally comes a point where you got to make that decision and take that risk, what do you normally do to handle that risk or make the right decision in that case?
Oftentimes I pray and I hand it over. Like I literally pray and just say, God, help me with this. Just help me. Just give me some guidance here. And by the time that I've made that decision, I am very confident that all is going to be okay, no matter which way it swings. Even if it doesn't go the way I think it will go, by that time I've almost let it go. And even with this big move that I'm making right now, and I know it's a gigantic move,
Yeah.
what's happening, and I don't know how this is going to go, but put it this way, I have no fear, and I just trust, and it's just like let it unfold. I'm quite excited by it, actually. Just let it unfold and see what happens. Yeah.
Just see what's meant to be.
Yeah. To surrender that control is so important, to trying to cling on to things and that, and that doesn't work. It doesn't work. And so if you can just trust that you're making the decision, and then once you've made that decision, just let it go.
Mm.
It will be how it's meant to be.
How do you personally manage letting go in terms of, do you have any habits you've incorporated or a strategy in terms of best letting go of the outcome or letting go of whatever is really weighing you down?
I think I begin to think also my spiritual connection, my belief in God helps me. But simple things like, in the mornings now, I set an intention for the day, and that's before I even get out of bed. I set an intention. It's almost like a prayer / setting an intention for the day.
Mm-hmm.
I get out of bed, I put on the jug, and I get my cup of tea. And I'm blessed to live across the road I'm in a little country town here. And across the road is fields and rolling hills. And I take my cup of tea and I stand out there and just be. Just sip my cup of tea and just be in nature. And for me, that's very, very grounding. And it's a beautiful way for me to start my day. It's almost like that's a meditation in itself. And so it kicks off the day on a great note. And then I'm ready to rock and roll. And yeah, I just know starting off the day in a great way helps me to get through the rest of the day. And so it's kind of like it's almost like a surrendering process over there of just being still. And again, what comes to my mind or to my heart is, again, just gratitude for the beauty in my life and the beauty that I'm witnessing in that moment.
I suppose
yeah.
one of the things I've heard before in terms of gratitude, because of course it's mentioned a lot in terms of this field and so forth, is that a student of mine a couple of weeks ago said, it's all good trying to be grateful, but I don't have anything to be grateful for. What advice would you give to those people who are finding it very hard to even tap into a joyful state, a grateful state?
Really, it really is so simple to strip this back to almost, I can be lying in bed and I'm grateful for my pillow. I'm grateful for the bed. I'm grateful for, I look up and I see the ceiling. and that I have a roof over my head and the fan, and grateful for blankets. It's so, I know it sounds so trivial, but when you take it back to what you have, and when many people, many people don't even have that, I think it doesn't have to be about gratitude for big things and for lavish things, and it's just grateful for what you have right now. And then more of that, as they say, you know, when the more great gratitude that we live with, the more wonderful things begin to flow into our lives. It's like, it's that pivotal thing of, you know, I know it's the law of attraction thing. It just brings more beauty, the more grateful we are of such simple things. So start small, start really small, and then you know, build on that and watch it all unfold. You know.
Yeah, and I think you are the byproduct of those habits you've started small, but now it's compounded over the span of years upon years. You've practiced all of these habits. So you're saying start small, just start anywhere, just being thankful that even perhaps you're alive, and just really just looking for those areas.
Yes. I remember, you know, I used to say, it's almost like, I don't know if it was a joke or if it was the subconscious mind, but I remember years ago, my mom would sort of say, "Oh, Jay, get a job, like get a proper job," you know, and I'd say, "Mum, don't worry about it. I'm going to live the life of a millionaire by the time I'm 50. Don't worry about it. I'm not worried about it." And eventually, as life unfolded, this is what's happened. You know, I might not be a millionaire, but I'm certainly blessed to live the life of a millionaire. Well, what I see as a millionaire, and it's certainly not about lavish things. I can tell you, I don't care for material possessions. Yeah, sure, of course, I'm blessed to be in this house and have these computer screens, but it's so much more than that. It's so much more than that. I feel like, you know, with the job that I have, I'm living the life of a millionaire. So that affirmation for me, I didn't even recognize it as an affirmation, but it was an affirmation. And, you know, it's happened. And I think it has happened through being so grateful for each little step. I tell you, when I started that YouTube channel and I made my first $250 for the month, I can't tell you how grateful I was and how excited I was. I was over the moon. I couldn't believe it that I was getting paid for something that I love to do. And so, you know, and I just, wow, this is amazing. So, yeah.
Wow.
Gratitude. Start small. Just start very, very small.
Yeah, that's one thing I've really taken away from, you know, conversing with you, is you're very grateful, and you're looking for areas of your life and even small things in your life that you can really be grateful for. And that's even motivating you to move forwards more, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Every single day, Tim, every single day, I get up and I'm grateful for the day, and I'm grateful for the love of my family and friends. And for all I have. I just do not take this for granted. I never will.
What's making you want to expand in terms of wanting more in that sense? Because I suppose you can stop. You could stop where you are right now. You know, you could comfortably do what you're doing. But why is there that desire to keep growing and expanding?
Yeah. This is more about, now this is certainly not about about me wanting more finances or anything of that nature. I've got enough. I've got more than enough, but I've had the opportunity for our company to sponsor other organizations, and also to build up our team of people to supply jobs for, you know, especially for musicians that are struggling at the moment. You know, we've got a number of musicians that work for us, and my staffing over in the Philippines, who have previously struggled and now are able to help their families. They're my, they are like family to me. All my employees, I smile when we have our meetings because I see them all on the Zoom, and I just shake my head sometimes and just go, this is amazing. Like, it's beautiful. Everyone's enjoying the job. And so this is not just about expanding for the sake of expansion now. It's about the team, it's about the jobs, and it's about reaching more and more people to help more and more people through the meditation process, and giving that opportunity to find that peace, some peace within. And just judging by some of the letters that I receive, it's helping people, from lowering blood pressure to going through really, really tough times, post-traumatic stress disorder or breaking up, but it's helped them get through these times.
Yeah.
And there's no prices that can be put on some of those letters, no price at all. So we can't just stay still. It's not, I don't think it's good enough. I think it has to keep growing. It's like a plant, it's like a garden. It just has to keep growing and expanding. And it reaches more people out there, and also the team grows bigger, and so more beautiful people are working alongside each other. Yeah, it's a very good thing.
Yeah, you mentioned your team a couple of times. I suppose
I love my team. I love them dearly. They're so
tell.
Yeah.
How do you normally go about selecting, in terms of when you are selecting members to be part of your mission of yours? Are there some strategy you're using to utilize to find the right person, or is it more intuitive feel, or what do you normally do?
Yeah, it's a combination here. It starts off, certain positions we want really, it might be certain experienced people in this area, so they're real specialists that we're seeking to find that person. At other times, it can even be a member inside the team that says, I know someone that will fit this culture. I know someone that has a lot to contribute here. And that has proven successful for us, because it's quite often the people that are in the team know the culture, know the fit, and they've got a very good idea if the person that they're bringing in is going to be a good fit for the team. So that, and I trust that. And it's been very successful, I might add, so far. Very successful. I know my operations manager, I trust him immensely. And if he says, I believe this person would be exceptional, and I'll just say, I trust you. Let's see. And literally never been wrong.
Wow.
So it's a letting go process too, right? And
sure.
And the biggest letting go process is, it's very soon about to unfold, of totally trusting the team as I step back.
Well, Jason, I just want to say, really appreciate your time today. And I know we've covered a lot of different topics all in one, but I want to make the most of this time also. I suppose the final question I want to ask you, having explored a lot of different things and having really discovered what we discovered from you today, what would you say is like the one important lesson out of everything you want all of us to remember from this interview?
I think, and this might be a completely different topic, but it's something I carry with me in my heart. And before my grandfather died, my mum was with him, and my mum said to Pop, we used to call him Pop, and my mum said, Dad, I love you. And my grandfather replied to Mum, and he said, love. And he said, isn't that what it's all about? And they were his last words. My mum walked out, and he actually then passed away. And that, to me, that just sums up everything. It actually is about love. That's what matters the most. Everything else is just on the side. Love is important. If we have that, we have everything in the world and more.